I would move to our next speaker, looking a little bit at brand protection and technology. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Hao Du. He is the founder and CEO of a Silicon Valley-based startup, Huski AI. Huski uses AI to help brand owners and IP professionals to register, manage, and protect their brands and other digital assets. Mr. Du is a serial entrepreneur and an engineer who worked in various companies across AI chip and software, autonomous driving, oil and gas, and the automobile industries. Mr. Du, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tu. I'm very excited to have this opportunity to join this talk. So as Huski, we are a very early startup based on Silicon Valley. So what we are trying to do is trying to build a better search engine to protect the ownership of originality. So it can be applied to many different things, such as a brand for protection or product design or NFT or any digital asset used in the very vast e-commerce space. So let's start with how it works for the brands used in e-commerce space. Next page, thank you. So the brand will are becoming one of the most important assets nowadays for especially in the e-commerce space. So since everything right now goes online, every shop become bigger or smaller, they all facing the opportunities and also competitions from the globe. However, when you look at the brand protection, the market is huge because there's millions of brands there in the market. And but however, the protection market is very broken because it's very segmented and very expensive. So over the market, you see there's a $2.8 trillion counterfeit around the globe by the end of 2020. And this will cost 5.4 million jobs lost. Also, the counterfeit or misuse of trademarks or brands hurts both sides of the party. The brand owners are facing revenue loss and the brand dilutions. And also at the other side, people who selling online is unintentionally infringing other people's brand. Then they are facing the heavy fines and may lose their business because the fine. So also, when you look at the problem, it's very expensive to solve. Amazon did a very great initiative in 2019, and they spent about 1.5 years to get rid of 99% of counterfeits on the market. However, when you look at their report, they spend more than 10,000 workforce and their technologies, using their technology and infrastructure to solve the problem. But however, when you look at how it's applied to different sectors and different sellers, they may not have this luxury and on the capitals and the luxury on the technologies to solve the problem. So that's all the biggest things we have to solve this problem. Thank you. Next page, thank you. So in order to solve this problem, we want to build an enterprise solution to help brand owners and IP professionals to know where and how their brands are used so that they can just take informed actions to do the protection. Basically, what we do is we try to understand how the brand are used in texts, images, and even videos. So based on the analysis, we say what's the usage and then how the usage impact to your business. Next slide, thank you. So essentially, what AI and big data can do on this journey. So it's actually answering three very expensive questions for us. For example, first one, is this copyright content? First, we need to find out, is this a trademark or is this something protected? Second is how it's used. Because nowadays, almost, for example, for English, almost all English words become a trademark. It depends how you use it and where you use it to identify as if it's a fair use or it's a infringement. The last one is where is it? Because right now, internet become very deep and very big and huge. So we build a vertical search engine to look at more than 1 million independent sites and 6 platforms to look at more than 60 million listings to see where your brand are used. So that way you can get this information to make informed decisions. I will explain one by one to see how we answer those questions in the next couple minutes. Next slide, please. So first, we build a is this a copyright content? So what we did is we built a multiple search engine run parallel at once. So we not only look at the texts, but also look at the images. So for the images, we do three kind of things at once. So we look at the entire images to do the analysis. We look at the key features in the images. We also look at the text in the images to detect. For example, on the right, you see there's a shirt with the Hello Kitty logo on it. So when we use the images, we detect that there's a Hello Kitty, the head of the cat is the trademark. Also, when we look at the bow on the is also a trademark. So you see the usage of the trademark is very diversified. It's not the same color, not the same shape, not the same orientation, or not same texture, but we have to identify exactly where the original copy or original registration is. So we have a perfect match. So that's we know this is identified as a copyrighted content. The next slide, please. So for the text to image to text analysis, we can recognize normal fonts and also very fancy and stylish font. As an example is a Coca-Cola. It's very nice written and designed font, but we can accurately detect it's Coca-Cola and match to the trademark registered related. Next slide, please. So the second question is how it's used. So basically, this practice is we take any internet listings, like what's on Amazon, what's on eBay, what's on another independent site. We took the images and the texts. We do all the searches and all the matches. For example, this one showed here the images. So we analyze each images in the listing and automatically detect which is the area who has a potential area to be a trademark. And then we look at the matches with the millions of trademarks, find the best matches to identify that is the registered trademark. For example, this one, we identified the area in the shoes, in the middle of shoes is potentially a trademark. And then we matched the Under Armour within millions, more than millions of trademarks precisely to tell this is the content need to be regulated to be used. Next page, please. So last question is where is it? So this is an even harder question to answer. So what we build is we want to build we already built a vertical search engine to search cross-domain knowledges. So this domain include not only the e-commerce space, all the products and also all the trademark, but also related infringing cases, all the brand information, brand owner informations. So all cross together, we want to find out what's the impact between usages and ownership. For example, right now, we talk about data-driven solutions, data-driven decision. However, we know there's tons of data, so many data for human to process. So we are promoting this kind of idea to use insight-driven decisions. So we want to use events happen in the marketplace, into the registration office, so that we know what happened, so that we derive the analysis and derive the insight to tell you what that's meaningful to you, what's the impact to you, so that way you can make an easy decision based on the insight inside of huge amount of data. Next, please. Thank you. So with this core engine built, we also look at the possible expansion to different things. For example, we tried on design patterns, look at based on a copyrighted design to find out where it's used, even on the clothes, on other things. Also, we are looking at how it's used in NFT space, because right now there's a collision between Web3 and Web2, because Web3 generates a lot of content, but some content actually already have the copyright already owned by some people in Web2. So there's the collisions between Web3 and Web2. So we are trying to build a bridge to see how the new content generated is related to what we already owned. So that's also a search engine extension for the NFT space. Next page, please. So a little bit about how we build this and the background technology. So our solution is built with unsupervised machine learning and one of the largest cross-domain knowledge graph. So what means unsupervised learning? Because when we're looking at these technologies we are trying to solve, we are not trying to solve this one for one brand, like say a biggest brand or a 200 biggest brand or maybe 10,000. We are trying to solve this problem for millions of brands altogether, so that we can reduce the costs for each individual brand. So this problem become, because I come from a autonomous driving background, so we know every time we have to teach the machine to let them learn, to give them a lot of images, to tag them, to label them, to teach the machine what they are. But however, it's becoming infeasible for the trademark or for the copyright space, because we have so many things to tag. We have millions of brands. If each brand we give 10,000 images, the problem could become too big to solve. So what we did is we built a soft unsupervised learning mechanism, so we don't have to tag the images. So so far we can very proudly to say is we haven't tagged any single images to reach 90% of recall rate so far. So as you see our progress, we take about 1.5 years to build the core engine. So beginning, it's only 13% of recall rate, and then once it started learning itself, it's increased very quickly. So it's growing every month. We have a new release on the core engine. At the same time, we are keep feeding the engine with a lot of data from all over the place, like entire USPTO's trademark informations, and more than 1 million websites about the product listings and all other related lawsuit and lawyers information. So we can transfer the listing information to infringement analysis, so that we can tell the brand owner and the IP professional the where and how this is used, so that's why they can take further actions to do the protection. Next page, please. So back to our vision. So we really want to use this kind of frontier technology to reduce the cost of IP ownership and promote the IP awareness and fair use. So that's we want to promote innovation for the long run, because we think all the owners should be protected, all the owners should be benefited from their invention. If they have the motivate, they have incentive, we're gonna promote the innovation for the long run. Next page, please. Thank you very much. This is my presentation. So because the time limited, if you have any questions about our technology, I'm willing to discuss with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Du. And it was a fascinating insight in just the thematic and the questions of the e-commerce space and the digital space, the many rights, the many data points, and the protection of brands.